All right, this is not gonna be a fun one. Yeah, Casey has been a LARPer from the start. Just watch his ordination video for proof. Yeah, didn't actually know what a LARPer was before this comment. Apparently it's someone who pretends and plays a role-playing game. Okay. Fake Christian. You don't deserve to call yourself a priest. Well, I will agree with the latter. No one deserves this. It's not by my merits I'm a priest, but by God's. Father Casey is a modernist and a manifest heretic. I can't believe that a person with these opinions is allowed to make videos by his superiors. I'm not sure what this is in reference to, but I can say that those words are used way too casually. I've made mistakes, trust me, but I'm not a modernist or a heretic. For lack of a better term, I find him pretty cringe. I would not call him a source, reliable or not. He's more of an entertainer vlogger than a theologian. To be fair, I don't consider myself a theologian either, so it's not wrong. After listening to his video in which he says that the virtue of chastity is old-fashioned, I lost respect for him. Yeah, I never said that. What I said was that purity culture, only avoiding bad things without ever growing in virtue and holiness, is a bad thing. Chastity is super important. He's not wrong, but man is he annoying. Wait, did my sisters write this? Liked his videos until he started talking about how he wants women in the priesthood and hopes the church changes her teachings. Yeah, again, never said that either. I know this because I don't actually believe this. Sorry. Unadulterated, God-insulting, phony, and stupid sophistry, not to mention his hypocritical absence of charity. Now this guy gets me. You get the idea. There are people who don't like me, sometimes because they don't understand me, sometimes because they have a different theological perspective than me, and sometimes, well, because I've done things that should legitimately upset anyone. I'm not perfect and have definitely made some mistakes over the years. I get comments like these on a regular basis, and some far, far worse. It's just the price of doing business, I guess. But it still hurts. It's still frustrating to see things said about you that you know are untrue, to see yourself develop a reputation among some that is just not who you know yourself to be or who others know you to be. Contrary to what some say, I'm not interested in being famous. I'm really just kind of an awkward guy that likes the gospel and saw this as a great way to help people grow in their faith. If I come off as fake or I'm acting, it's because I'm not good at it. What can I say? Knowing that tons of random people have an opinion of you, sometimes really negative, can be demoralizing at times. But this is neither a defense nor a plea for sympathy. I don't want anyone to come cry me a river or think that I'm playing the victim. It's not the point of this video. What I want to talk about in this video is negativity in general. What do we do when we come up against criticism, against bullying, against public rejection? This is a question that I can talk about from my experience on social media, yes, but it's one that each and every one of us faces when we step out into the world. As someone who works with children and teenagers all day, trust me, I know that many of you are looking for answers too. And so I'd like to offer 4 responses, 4 things that everyone can remember when they face negativity that will hopefully bring some comfort and confidence. Number 1, you have to listen for the truth. By far the hardest on this list, and what nobody wants to hear, it is the only way to grow as a person. The unfortunate fact of life is that your enemies are far more likely to point out your legitimate flaws than your friends will be. It may not come packaged with love and affection, but that doesn't mean it's wrong. When I skim through my comments, I see people using foul language, calling me names, being completely uncharitable, and my first impulse is to dismiss them. Block, delete, and move on. Sometimes that's exactly what's necessary. Nobody needs abuse or hatred. But sometimes, beneath the harsh words is something I need to hear. At my worst, I'm defensive. I respond to the negative attitude with a negative attitude myself, wanting to put people in their place. I can tell you that this rarely works in real life, and it never works on social media. But at my best, I am able to ask a very humbling question. Even though this person may be mean or even wrong on the whole, is there a grain of truth in this? Is there something I can learn from this? Maybe they haven't expressed themselves in the most charitable or intelligent way, but that doesn't mean that their criticism is invalid. All too often we approach negativity with a hate is gonna hate attitude, listening to only the people who like us. This is a dangerous attitude that stifles our growth. You don't have to like the people who are mean to you, and you definitely don't have to put yourself in dangerous situations, but don't dismiss people just because they're critical. I know that I have learned a lot, even from mean people. Number 2. Accept that you can't please everyone. This is actually the toughest one for me. As you can probably tell from my other videos, I'm a pretty optimistic person. I have a fairly hopeful view of humanity and the world. Deep down, I know that everyone has the capacity for good, and if I could just sit down and talk with someone for just a few minutes, especially a fellow Christian, I'm sure that they could see that I'm genuine and good-hearted. We might not agree, sure, that's not gonna happen, but at least we can respect each other. Okay, go ahead, call me naive in the comments. Father Casey's living in a fantasy world, I get it. There are just certain things outside of our control. No matter who you are, someone is going to hate you. As a follower of Jesus, I know that there is nothing you can do to completely control your story or to get everyone to like you. If the Son of God couldn't, I know I can't. But sometimes I have to remind myself of that. Often, actually. I see a negative comment and I launch into a defense. I go looking for misunderstanding of things I've said and I try to clear them up. I reach out to people who are spreading things about me. I try to convince them otherwise. Down and down the rabbit hole I go. At times, it begins to hijack the mission. In planning what videos I want to make, I sometimes let the negative comments drive the process, making videos that will respond to criticism, avoiding topics that will increase it, thinking always of what those people will say. Let me say it again. You cannot get everyone to like you. While it's important to listen to and learn from some negativity, you cannot let it drive everything you do. Some people are just sick. They're hurt. They're not in a place to accept you for who you are, and that is not your responsibility to change. Sometimes you just have to brush it off and keep going. Which leads to point number 3, which is that you must always remember who you are and why you do what you do. One of the problems with negativity is that it speaks up much more than positivity. By and large, we're just far more aware of it. But something happened to me this spring. In the course of a month, I spoke at a major conference and then again at a huge campus ministry. To my surprise, people really wanted to see me. I couldn't walk 15 feet in the conference without being stopped. People were lined up for an hour at the college to talk to me. And do you know what they wanted to say? Thank you. I didn't speak to a single person who wanted to criticize me. Person after person came up to tell me that the videos I'd made helped them to recapture their faith, that they had joined RCIA, that my work gave them hope for the church. I say this not to brag, but to simply point out that sometimes you are making a difference without even knowing it. Sometimes the people you're trying to reach are getting the message, are benefiting from you. They're just not as likely to let you know about it as the negative commenter. Don't forget about these people. It's sad to think how many times they were not the voices I was listening to when I was planning videos. They weren't the people I was thinking about when I wrote scripts. I was too concerned with pleasing my critics and I let my focus go astray. For me, the purpose of this channel, priority number 1, is to help people have a deeper relationship with Jesus Christ and His church. I want to reach the people who are curious and seeking more, who don't know the basics of the faith and need help navigating the chaos of our world today. Meaning that success for me is not lots of views in itself. It's not pleasing a certain segment of the population that normally doesn't like me. It's not even avoiding conflict necessarily. Being prophetic is going to annoy some people, but enliven others. The question to me is, which is which? Am I reaching people I set out to reach? Am I helping their faith, drawing them closer to Christ? If so, it shouldn't bother me one bit if others say horrible things or call me names. I've accomplished what I've set out to accomplish. A mission that is not always quantifiable and rarely ever clear, I'll admit, which is why I want to conclude by remembering these words from St. Francis. What a man is before God, that he is, and nothing more. What you are before God, whoever God says that you are, that is what you are. Nothing more and nothing less. The deeper problem in all of this is that we put way too much stock in what others say about us, good or bad. I know that I'm guilty of this. We let so many voices dictate who we are, what our parents say about us, how our teachers evaluate us, who wants to date us, what society deems normal, while ignoring the only voice that matters. If God told you that you were His beloved, that you were wonderfully made and pleasing to Him, wouldn't that matter more than anything else? If God told you that you needed to get your act together and turn from your bad habits, wouldn't you set your whole focus on doing just that? Who cares what your parents say? Who cares if you're not accepted by your friends? Who cares if the world finds you weird? What you are before God is what you are. And so, while I think that the first 3 points are very important, I don't think that they're possible at all without this last one. You must go to God in prayer each and every day and ask these 2 questions. Who are you, Lord? And who am I? Who are you, Lord? And who am I? Let God answer those questions for you, and you will be amazed at how silly everything else seems.